All right, so this block of instruction, temporary restrictions, track bulletins. Temporary restrictions, track bulletins. There will be a couple of procedures throughout this that you're going to want to kind of commit to memory and kind of focus pretty hard on. We'll cover those. That's basically where they start. Temporary restrictions. They show up on your track bulletins. Notice of conditions affecting train movement.
They still use fax machines?
Huh?
They still use fax machines?
Yeah.
Wow. Go back.
I mean, they got them. I mean, I'm not saying they use them as a primary reason. Okay, so temporary restrictions, 5.4.1. Nick, we'll just start with you if you're ready.
Track bulletins. Track warrants or general orders may restrict or stop train movements because of train conditions, structures, or men and equipment working. Yellow flags will be used for temporary speed restrictions. Red flags will be used for when a train may be required to stop. When flags are not displayed, that information will be included in the track bulletin, track warrant, or general order. When a restriction spans adjoining subdivisions, separate temporary restrictions may be issued on each subdivision.
Talking temporary restrictions, we're talking track bulletins, okay? Speed restrictions, inner equipment out there working. All right. We got flags to notify us of that. So one important thing that they said right here, if they are not going to display flags, i.e. say a yellow board, green board, okay, and it still shows up in your track bulletin, they have to annotate on the bulletin itself that no flags will be displayed. If there is no flag displayed written on your track bulletin, they got to have a flag out there, and if they don't, they're wrong. Okay.
So when they do that and they say it on the bulletin, you're responsible for knowing when that.
Yes. So it kind of makes you pay attention a little more as to the exact location where you're going to. All right. Because it won't be there to warn you 2 miles ahead of time. Okay. And usually the way they'll do that is just put the remark in there, NFD. NFD, no flags displayed. We're going to talk about a yellow board. And we're going to talk about a yellow board that you might see under two different conditions. It's either specified in writing, okay, you have a track bulletin on it, or, right here, restrictions in effect, or a restriction is not in effect. You don't have a track bulletin, but you see one when you go by that location. So there's certain procedures you have to follow, okay? And this is some of the stuff you want to highlight and commit to memory. This scenario is when you have a restriction in writing, it's in your bulletin, it's in effect. Go ahead, Jerry.
Display of yellow flag. Restriction is in effect. 2 miles ahead of restricted area, yellow flags warn trains to restrict movement because of track conditions or structures. To make sure train movement is restricted at the right location, employees must display a yellow flag 2 miles before the restricted area.
So they come out with a slow order for a given area because of a washout, because of whatever. They give that to the train dispatcher for the location. The maintenance away guy is going to go put a yellow flag 2 miles, and it will be exactly 2 miles ahead of the restriction. Okay? They don't put the milepost location for this as long as it's 2 miles. Okay? It's a given. That won't be annotated on your bulletin. Sometimes they may place that flag less than 2 miles before the restriction. Okay? And if they have to, they can do that no problem. But there's a one little caveat if they do. Brandon.
Less than 2 miles ahead of restricted area, when the restricted area is close to a terminal junction or another area, or if restriction is on a siding, employees will display the yellow flag less than 2 miles before the restricted area. This information will also be included in the track bulletin, track warrant, or general order.
So the caveat is this. Whatever the reason they decide to put it less than 2 miles, that's up to them. But if they do put it less than 2 miles, they have to annotate the exact milepost location of the yellow flag on the bulletin. Now, if this is not here, you automatically know it's at 2 miles. Okay? Yes, sir.
I understand how the slip is written out, but what does restriction number mean? Like 4161?
That's like the track bulletin number.
Oh, okay. So it has nothing to do with the restriction area then?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's like the bulletin number.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
What if, would there ever be a case where the yellow signal board is on the main track and the siding goes around it, and can that train just not see that signal board? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. But if there's a way, you mean the restrictions here,
Yeah, and then someone's on the side.
and they bypass
Yes,
like
sir.
the yellow boards over here,
Yes, sir.
there's a train blocking it. No, there's no way. And the reason why is because they're going to put flags over here too.
Oh,
Okay. Kind of like this.
yes, sir.
They got it for both, but they could also go right here, a flag here, and a flag here. Would do the same thing for them. Yes, sir.
Would there be a situation, I know you said that if the flag is displaying less than 2 miles, that it would be in your general track bulletin, right? Like,
They have to put the location of the flag in your bulletin.
is there any incidents or cases where it could be like you get your general track bulletin, but this yellow flag situation happens after you get it, so it's not in your bulletin,
All the time.
and it's still less than 2 miles though?
Yeah.
So what do you do in that case? Is it still the same thing?
Now, after you start your trip and then they come up with a bulletin like this, so it's too late for you because you've already got your bulletins, right?
Right.
We've kind of covered this before.
The transition, you just-
He's going to call you, right, with a mandatory directive, a radio speed restriction, and he will give you that information right over the radio.
Yeah, but I'm saying like, if this yellow block situation is happening, and let's say you're at milepost 9, right?
Okay.
Already on your way, and this is the area that's affected. What do you? I mean, by the time you get the directive,
It doesn't work that way, and here's why. It just don't work that way. If the maintenance of way guy, right? If the track inspector is out here and he sees this as a bad area, he's out here on the track, right? If he's on the track, you're not coming in here anyway because he's got protection. So before he gets off of that track, he's going to give the train dispatcher the information on this area. And then the train dispatcher is going to give the information straight to you. Okay? Because he's going to have you stopped. You can't get into the area anyway. Does that make sense?
yeah, I got you.
Yes, sir.
If you get your track bulletin and it has that yellow flag listed down there, so it's telling you that it's there, and you get up to that area and for whatever reason it's just not there, you can't see it, it's not laying on the ground anywhere, are you to treat it as if it was there because it's in your track bulletin?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That happens sometimes too, by the way. You got a flag that's supposed to be up. You go by there and it's not there. It may be just laying on the ground, face down, right? Because the wind blew it over or something. You still have to go by the bulletin. Okay? It doesn't matter. Now, you're gonna report it. Hey, that flag's knocked over there, you know, but you still have to adhere to the speed restriction. So the bottom line to this slide basically is this. They can display the flag short, meaning less than 2 miles. If they do, they have to annotate the exact location on the Form A. Okay? Who's up? Brandon? Brandon?
Once the train reaches a restricted area, the speed is specified by track warrant, track bulletin, general order, or radio speed restriction must not be exceeded until the rear of the train clears a restricted area.
So the one thing you got to remember now is that if you get a Form A for a slow order at milepost 10, right here, you're going to get a yellow board at milepost 8, right? There's going to be nothing here. There won't be no flag, no nothing, unless the speed restriction starts and ends right here. Then there might be a green board. But other than that, there's nothing to tell you that the restriction starts. Okay? You just have to be aware of where you're at. Specified by the warrant, cannot be exceeded where the flame clears. So, speed restrictions, the entire train has to get over it. Like that. And then you can take off. So for those areas that do not have flags displayed, how are you going to know your rear end's clear? Hit the counter, right, on your head end box, and just count off the miles. Now that whole blurb we talked about was restriction that's in effect. You have a bulletin on it. This portion is going to be when you pass a yellow board, you look in your bulletins and you're like, I don't see anything about this yellow board. So you don't have a bulletin in effect for this. Okay? Who's up? Aaron?
When the restriction is not in effect, when a yellow flag is displayed, no restriction is in effect as specified by the track bulletin, track warrant, and general order. Once the train is 2 miles beyond the yellow flag, crew members must 1. Continue moving the train, but at speed not exceeding 10 miles an hour.
We're going to kind of dissect this in a minute. Keep going there.
2. Resume speed only after the rear of the train has A. Passed a green flag, or B. Traveled 4 miles beyond the yellow flag and the train dispatcher has verified that no track bulletin or track warrant is in effect specifying a temporary speed restriction in that location.
So let's kind of take this from the top. And this is something you need to kind of commit to memory. We're going down the rail, 70 miles an hour. All of a sudden we see a yellow board out there. Okay? We're like, yellow board? We thumb through our bulletins. We don't have anything about this yellow board. Okay? How do we proceed from that? Because you don't have anything to tell you what to do, right? So, the procedure is 2 miles beyond where you saw the yellow board. You have to be at 10 miles an hour. You keep moving, but you have to be at a speed no greater than 10 miles an hour. Okay? Now, how long are we going to stay at 10 miles an hour? We are going to stay at 10 miles an hour until a couple of things happen. One of two things. We've either passed a green board, okay, the rear end of our train, Or, if there is no green board out there, we have traveled 4 miles beyond where we saw the yellow board. Okay? And verified with the train dispatcher that there's no bulletin in effect for that area. Okay? I hope you got that memorized. You got it?
When you're measuring the 2 or the 4 miles, is it your head end?
It's always the rear end. Always the rear. Okay? Now listen, let's back that up and make sure we understand each other. Right here, if I pass a yellow board right here, then head end wise, 2 miles beyond that, I gotta be at 10 miles an hour. If there happens to be a green board, when my rear end passes that, I can take off. Or my rear end is 4 miles from where I saw the yellow board. And I've talked to the dispatcher. Yes, sir.
So like if you're going through that kind of scenario, but it's on like a giant curve, so you can see the rear end of your train, clear that restricted area. There's no green flag. You still have to go the 4 miles. But if you can see your rear end of your train clearing it, can you immediately speed up at that point?
No.
Still have to go the 4 miles. So there's no flag. Okay.
Yeah. We've had people pulled out of service and decertified for this rule many times. Okay? Because here's what they do. They're going down there, they see the yellow board. They look at their bulletins, they don't have anything on it. 2 miles beyond the yellow board, they're at 10 miles an hour, just like they're supposed to be. Okay? They're trying to get a hold of the dispatcher, but he hasn't answered yet. Meanwhile, they go 4 miles beyond the yellow board. Look at the counter like, okay, we're good, 4 miles. Then they kick it back up to speed because they're 4 miles beyond, right? They get around the next curve, and there's a manager sitting there just like this with a radar gun. And they're going like 25 miles an hour now. They are pulled out of service for decertification. Why?
Because they didn't contact the.
Because they have not talked to the dispatcher. So not only do you have to go the 4 miles, you have to talk to the dispatcher before you can increase speed. Okay? If you don't get a hold of the dispatcher, you're just going to be 10 miles an hour for the rest of your trip. Okay? Which that won't happen, but just to emphasize my point. Okay?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that, so if you don't get in contact with the dispatcher, you just go at 10, you don't have to like stop and wait.
No, you don't have to stop. Just move to 10.
So pretty much, if there is no green sign, you're going 10 until you get a hold of that guy.
Absolutely. Listen to this though. Listen to this. Let's say, you got to make sure you understand this. We're going down through there, we see a yellow board. 2 miles beyond that, what speed do I need to be at? If I don't have a track bulletin, right? 10 miles an hour. Let's say between here and the 2 miles, even before I got to 2 miles, right? I got a hold of the dispatcher. Yeah, dispatcher, there's a yellow board out here in milepost 14. You got anything on that? Train dispatcher, no, I don't have nothing on it. Right? You've gotten a hold of the dispatcher. Are you relieved of the? No. You still have to be at 10 miles an hour, 2 miles beyond it, and you have to remain at 10 miles an hour till when?
4 miles.
Your rear end's 4 miles from where you saw the.
Okay,
So you see how that works?
It doesn't take away from the speed, it just takes away from you having contact with it.
Right.
Okay, so once you do pass the board, you're good to go.
Right. You have to have both of those accomplished. The 4 miles and talking to the dispatcher.
Does that happen often where yellow flag's just left out by like
Absolutely.
been working? Yeah.
I say often enough. It's not every trip thing, you know. But they're human. I mean, we all forget stuff, you know. So it's no big deal. Everybody got that down stone cold, right?
Stone cold.
You saw
I'll
it.
take a test on it right now.
Steve Austin.
I have another beer.
Okay, we just said all that. So you have to do the 4 miles and you have to talk to the dispatcher. Now, let's take the first part of that scenario. We passed a yellow board, okay? And then 2 miles beyond that, we were at 10 miles an hour, right? Then we pass a green board. Do I need to talk to the dispatcher? Do I need to go the 4 miles? No. If you pass a green board, you are automatically relieved. Okay? Once your rear passes. Now you're still going to need to call the dispatcher because he needs to know that there's flags out there that people don't have paperwork on. But that has nothing to do with your ability to go back up to speed. Green flag, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, indicates the end of a temporary speed restriction. If you have multiple speed restrictions in one area, there's still only going to be one green flag. Okay? For the reason I just told you. Anytime you pass a green board, you're relieved of all restrictions. That's why they're not going to put a green board for each area. Yes, sir.
Can you give me a scenario where there would be a need for multiple speed restrictions, like a mile apart from each other?
Absolutely.
Now with the speed restrictions, just give me a scenario.
Let's say, here's a really good one. Let's say they have been replacing some cross ties. They have a maintenance away project going on, right? And they've been replacing some cross ties in like a 6 mile stretch. Well, when you replace cross ties, you got to put the ties in, you got to put the ballast in, you got to tamp it. There's lots of stuff you have to do, right? Let's say they've made some good progress between here and here. Okay. They've made a little bit better progress up to there. You see what I'm saying? So that could be different speeds through there.
And,
So the speed restriction only comes with a specified speed, is what you're saying?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we wouldn't see that, we'd only see that on our forms, right? Not on the board itself,
You won't
right?
see it on the board. It's
Right,
going to
just
be on your
yellow.
bulletins.
Okay.
Yeah.
and if not,
But I'll tell you, realistically, if they're really close together, they're probably just going to make it all one speed anyway.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, so which one? Obviously, each section you're getting falls with the next, like that restriction, right? So like mile post 14 restriction, which you get 15, you comply with the new. or the
Yeah,
new
you're going to be like at 30. This is for here. So you're going to be at 30 miles an hour here, right?
Oh, okay, 'cause
This one is for here.
it's the
There's 2 miles, right? And this is 40. So you got to go 30 miles an hour through here. And then from here to here, it's 40. But you still have to wait till your train clears this area
Oh, okay, yeah.
before you can get up to 40 even, right? You still have to make sure the rear of your train's by this before you can get up to the 40 mile an hour restriction.
And then by the time you even hit the next place.
That's right. And that's why realistically, if they're close enough together, they'll usually just put them one speed. Talked about yellow flags, and now we're experts in that. Now we're going to talk about the yellow-red flags. Yellow-red flag. 5.4.3. Turner, you go ahead.
display yellow red flags from 1 hour before to 1 hour after a traffic bulletin Form B is in effect. During that time, trains may accept verbal permission from the employee in charge as outlined in Rule 15.2, Protection by Traffic Bulletin Form B. The display of yellow red flags as described does not extend the authorized working time beyond the times listed on the traffic bulletin form.
So realize what a Form B is, really. It's a formal notification that a maintenance of way gang has arranged with the railroad to work on a given area. Okay? It's been planned. It didn't just happen today. It's been planned for a month. Okay? And now today they're finally getting ready to get started. So everybody knows that it's going on. Okay? So they put this Form B out when the work is actually going to take place. Okay? Look at a Form B. Form B, that's the bulletin number. That's the type of form it is, B. So we know that's men and equipment out there working. It goes from milepost 13.2 to 13.5, from 0800 January 15th to 1400 January 15th on the main track. Foreman Silva's in charge. That's his gang number, and a stop's required. Okay? Now look at what we got here. He cannot put his red flag up. I hope you're recording this. He cannot put his red flag up until the Form B starts. Okay? He can't put it up at 7:30. However, he is allowed to put up his yellow red board 1 hour before the time, and it can stay up 1 hour after the time. You understand? Why do you think they let him do that?
Maybe they're getting set up and it's a slow.
He's getting set up. What's that mean? That means at 8 o'clock, when it's time to go to work, we want to be able to go to work, right? They don't want to have to try to get 2 miles from the area just to put up a yellow red belt, because they can't work until their flags are up. Okay? And you say, well, what's the problem with that? Well, sometimes it's not quite as easy to get 2 miles down the track if you're not going straight down the rail. You know, so they have to drive these trucks on the road sometime to get there. So it's not just as simple as going 2 miles back, put the flag up, and go back. Okay. So they will let them put the yellow board up, or yellow red board up, an hour before, and keep it up an hour after the Form B. However, that does not mean they can go out there and start working early. They cannot put their red board up until the Form B is in effect. Okay?
I got a quick question.
Yes.
What if you have a Form B and a work between the track and time? Will that ever be the case? You understand what I'm saying? Like, there's work being done like this when a train's doing going in both directions, and how would the flags be set up if that is the case?
First of all, if this is CTC, the maintenance crew that's on this track, they will have tracking time. Okay? However, because it's a Form B, this is our clearance to it. We won't need a tracking time to go through it with them.
So when we join, we're just passing.
That's right. We're following, we can't get into the area, their Form B, until they let us in. If this is a Form B, it doesn't belong to the dispatcher anymore. It belongs to them. Okay? Now they're gonna have tracking time all day, right? You're still not getting in the area unless they allow you in there. but you don't need tracking time to do it.
But you
Just
still
their
need-
clearance.
you need their permission, though,
Absolutely.
over the radio.
And it's a formal procedure, you know. Okay, 13.2 to 13.5, 0800. So he could put his yellow-red board out as early as 7 a.m. Okay? And like I said, this allows them time to go over here and get ready to get started. Because at 8 o'clock, they want to put the flag up and get to work. This is very good too. John.
Display of yellow, red flag application. The in effect means that the display of yellow, red flags as described does not extend the authorized working time beyond the times listed on track bulletin from Form B. However, it does not mean that when observed, a yellow, red flag can be ignored. The yellow, red flag is passed within 1 hour of the in effect time, either before or after the time stated. The flag must be considered as unspecified in writing. Part B of the rule 5.4.3 applies.
In layman's terms, here's what we're saying. They can put their flag up an hour early, okay? And you can rest assured, if you go by this flag at 7 a.m., you can know for sure that they are not out here working yet. They can't do that, okay? That's guaranteed. But what we're saying is you just can't ignore the flag either. You understand? There's procedures for you to follow if this flag is up.